Welcome back, folks. I'm Frizz, and today I would like to take some time to talk to you about high-level play in Pathfinder 2e. See, I have the pleasure of actually being able to play in Adventure Path, where we recently just hit level 18, and I'd like to take some time to talk to you about that experience, because honestly, high-level play in Pathfinder 2e is actually done incredibly well, and I'd like to take some time to talk to you about exactly why it is that Pathfinder 2e's high-level play is actually fun, and maybe a little bit of the flaws of Pathfinder 1e's high-level play. So let's just jump into it. And, okay, so when I say that Pathfinder 1e's high-level play is flawed, what I mean is that it's very slow. Now, hear me out here. I have played a Pathfinder 1e campaign up to level 13 before, and even at that point, which is honestly not anywhere near the absurdity or the maximum absurdity of Pathfinder 2e, you still get to a certain point where turns start taking longer and longer. It can become pretty normal for a single turn to take 5 minutes, and that might seem like overkill. Like, there's no way that a turn takes a total of 5 minutes. But have you ever played in a party with a rogue that makes 5 or 6 attacks a round and has to roll 7d6 and then add that up by hand? If you have, then you understand that 5 minutes might be an underestimate, depending on the person's mental arithmetic. And that's just a martial character. Martial characters are pretty straightforward. You just stab or hit something until it dies. Spellcasters drastically increase the complexity of what they have to figure out what to do on their turn, what spells to cast, and which ones would be applicable for this moment. Basically, Pathfinder 1e's high-level combat and high-level play is just overly complicated and takes a very long time to do. It's fun, but it has a lot of problems. What does Pathfinder 2e do differently? Well, the first and probably the most simple, one that I've actually talked on recently, is limiting actions. See, every single character in Pathfinder 2e has 3 actions, and that's not really going to change much. So at level 1, you're going to make about the same attacks at level 20. Just the impact of those attacks is going to be higher, and the accuracy is going to be higher. Limiting the amount of attacks means that no one is going to spend 5 minutes calculating the damage for 5 different attacks. It's all bundled up together, and the attacks are a little bit more significant. Basically, yeah, limitations are good, because whenever things aren't limited, you run into math nightmare zone. Now, don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying that Pathfinder 2e's actions are less useful. That's not remotely true. See, high-level play is absurd because the actual stuff that you do with all of your actions is some real insane stuff. See, at level 1 or level 2, you might spend 2 actions to hit someone with a power attack. And yeah, good damage. But at high level, you might hit someone or punch them so hard that you send them flying 20 feet backwards. You could be throwing someone 30 feet. You could be jumping 100 feet with only a couple of actions. There's just all kinds of crazy shit that goes on at high level play. It's just the absurdity and scale of your actions gets higher and higher and higher until you start just doing absurd stuff. It really does make you feel a bit like a superhero. Alright, so there are some other things that make high level play a lot easier, but they aren't really things that the PCs have to worry about at all. And because a lot of the problems come from the GM side of things, because as things get a bit more complicated for the players, it gets vastly more complicated for the GM normally. And Pathfinder 2e takes the load off at least a little bit. See, planning encounters for high-level parties is pretty easy actually in Pathfinder 2e. You just pick an XP rating that makes sense for the party, and then you throw it at them. And because of the way that 2e is designed, it's gonna, do what it says on the tin. If it's a hard encounter, it is going to be hard. About the same level of difficulty as a hard encounter is at level 1. Nice and simple. Compare this to Pathfinder 1e, where if you throw together a random encounter, there's a decent chance that it is either going to be over in half a round, or it is going to kill the entire party. Pathfinder 1e is a land of true extremes, and if the GM doesn't take that into account when designing encounters, then you have insta-death. Which, admittedly, there is some charm to that. I mean, I like high-level Pathfinder 1e, but it's not for everyone, and Pathfinder 2e is a lot more approachable. Okay, so there are a few other things that make a GM's life substantially easier, and that is limitations on spellcasting. Specifically, limitations for teleportation and divination effects, because those can really make a GM's life horrible. Teleportation allows for the party to go basically anywhere that they want, which sounds fun, until you realize that the GM cannot possibly prepare everywhere that they can go unless their job is literally to prepare. So, not everyone's Matthew Mercer. Not everyone can prepare literally every city on the continent. So, what's the solution? Make teleportation magic uncommon, so the party can't do stupid shit like that all the time unless the GM wants them to be able to. Now, divination magic is, at first glance, maybe a little bit less dangerous, but it can still be really frustrating for GMs at high levels whenever PCs have access to this stuff practically for free. See, it can be really annoying whenever you throw a fun puzzle with a fun solution at the party, and then the cleric just, divines the answer, and then they can just ignore it. That's annoying. They can try and just use divination to detect all traps. Or, who knows? Maybe they just scry on the big bad guy and figure out exactly what his weaknesses are rather than going through it and finding it in-game. The same solution to teleportation magic applies here. A lot of these problematic divination spells are uncommon, meaning that if the GM is okay with the party having them, they can get them. Otherwise, their access is limited, meaning that the GM can actually have some story beats that are not just completely trivialized by divination. The last element of Pathfinder 2e high-level play that I want to talk about, because I think it is really what makes high-level play so much more fun than I think 1e high-level play is monster design. Really, monster design is a highlight of Pathfinder 2e overall, because basically every single monster in the bestiary has a unique ability that they can use in combat. No one is exactly the same. No monster plays the same. They all have their own strategies, and if that was true at level 1, then at level 20 or even 15, you get some insane concepts for monsters. You get, a literal Grim Reaper that is an aspect of death because of extreme violence. You can have a Kraken, a Pit Fiend. All of these things are going to have incredibly weird abilities that, I'm gonna be real with you, they're kind of bullshit. I'm not gonna lie. Pretty much every fight past level 15 is going to be some bullshit. But that's fair, because the PCs have also got a ton of bullshit. And I'm saying that as a positive. You don't know what you're going to get into with every single encounter at high level. And that's a fun challenge to solve. Oh, how do you deal with an outsider that literally creates and destroys matter? I don't know. You're going to have to find that out. Basically, Paizo can take off the little kid gloves when it comes to monster design and just do whatever they think would make for an amazing set piece.
Thanks for watching. High-level play is a ton of fun in 2e, and I hope that I've conveyed at least a little bit of that. Really, high-level play in any system is just going to be a bit of a mess due to how spells scale and there being more math involved, but it's a mess that I enjoy, both in Pathfinder 1e and 2e. Regardless of all of that, until I see you next, live a wonderful life.